Ladies and gentlemen, this picture, truly one of the most unusual ever filmed, contains scenes which under no circumstances should be viewed by anyone.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again tonight to another episode of Ghost Stories and Horror Tales with your host, Andy, from the Scott and Andy Horror Show. Tonight we will be going over the creepiest things people were told by their children. It was Reddit user U$5 Rim Jobs. Interesting name, right? I can't, I'm sorry, I gotta laugh at that one. But then back to it, who asked people seriously to share the creepiest thing a child has ever said to them. People who definitely showed up for this question. There were over 500 creepy responses in less than a day. Here are some of the best ones and the top ones. The first one, by Backwards Herb, said, when my sister was a kid, she used to sit up in the middle of the night and stare at me or the wall. I would wake up and she'd be staring in the dark. One night she was doing this, and without turning to me, she said, "I fucking see you," in a weird low voice, and she laid back down and went to sleep. Pretty creepy, huh? First of all, I'd be like, you're about to go, I'm gonna tell mom, was you going back in time out using a little potty mouth like that? Okay, next one is Human Resources IRL. This one said, I used to babysit this kid who was overall very sweet, but when I would watch him overnight, he'd come into the room I was sleeping in and just stare at me. But he always listened when I told him to go back to bed. One time he asked me if I was asleep, and when I said no, he said, okay, I'll come back later, and left. I was scared at first, but then I remembered he was 6 years old, and I could drop kick him if I had to. Damn, no mercy there. Next one is from Happy Life 88. I figure these are Twitter pages or Twitter accounts. And this one says, it wasn't just one thing my son said, but for 3 days he kept waking up in the middle of the night crying because his blankets were full of smoke. They were always fine. I washed his blankets every day, hoping it would help him sleep. During the day, he would talk a lot about the house being on fire. It freaked me out. I had my husband check out smoke detectors every night for a while. That was a year ago, and we haven't had a fire since. But just the way my son was so sure about our house was going to catch fire really freaked me out. Next one is from Silver_display. Want to play the scary game? We turn off the lights, and my dad tries to grab us. It turns out it was a very innocent hide-and-go-seek tag game in the dark, but holy shit, my heart stopped for a moment. Next is Colleens. Yeah, Colleens. One time I was holding my 2-year-old niece, and I told her I loved her. With the straightest face, she whispered, I hate you. Her mother must have seen the look on my face and said, did she tell you she hates you? I nodded, still rattled. She said, that's her new thing. She says she does it to be funny, and I usually laugh. It was the creepiest exchange ever. K Dubstep. My daughter, when she was like 2, and not too long after my mother passed away, was fixated staring in the upper corner of our ceiling, and we asked, what was she looking at? She said, Nana. Tragedy Porn Family Bed. Where the hell do some of these people get these names? This one says, I wish I could cut you open and wear you like a suit. Then you'd never leave me. Did not like hearing that at all. Kind of mean, TBH. When my daughter was 3, she told me that when I died, she would wear my face so she could always see my smile. Well, at least you know where the next leather face is. I am a lobster. When my daughter was 3, she told me to get out of bed, and she peeled my skin off with a knife. What the? Wow. Also, just before the pandemic hit, we were eating out, and a man got up from another table to use the restroom. As he passed our table, she pointed at him and practically yelled, "Hey, mama, how much blood does that guy have?" He laughed nervously and walked a little faster. You blame him? Both really threw me because she's typically sweet kid, non-violent, gets concerned when animals are hurt, etc. And we monitor what she watches pretty diligently. She's 5 now and hasn't said anything like that since. There's still hope. Next one, kind of mean, TBH. Not said, ... but when my youngest was just born until she slept through the night. When I got up, fed her in the middle of the night, her and both her cats would stare in one specific corner of the room and would not be distracted. This would go on until I put her back to bed. Pretty creepy. Jack, please watch more Rejojo. Okay. Not my child, but my cousin. When I was about 16, me and my cousin, who was 5 at the time, let's call her Mackie. So me and Mackie were outside playing with the family dog. When I turned my back to grab some dog food since it was feeding time for the dog, I turned back and she was looking into the forest that was in front of the house. When I asked her what was she looking at, she said, "Mr. White is saying to come play with him." I looked into the forest and saw no one. That was definitely one of the most terrifying things she had said. Some aftermath, when we went back to her family's house a few months after her dad's birthday, my uncle, and again she was staring at the same spot. This time I didn't ask her and stared at the same spot she was staring. Turns out she was staring at an old burnt down cabin across from the house. I was carrying this one is Two Boredom, a gem from Two Boredom. I was carrying my 2-year-old son in a backpack on a walk on the countryside, and he suddenly started chanting, shut up the sky and wave goodbye, shut up the sky and wave goodbye. He said wave goodbye in an inward breath like the Grudge monster. It lasted the last few miles to home. That's pretty out there. Next one is from Johnny_975. My little girl, when she was about 4 or 5, drew a picture of a creepy looking girl with black frizzy hair. When we asked who it was, she just said, "That's the girl who hurt me in my dreams." Whoa, ho, 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 ho. So yeah, safe to say that one picture that didn't end up stuck on the fridge, that was a pretty good one. That gave me some chills. And last, the final one, that_1_duck31. My brother said this to our mom when he was like 2 or 3 years old. She was holding him, and he said, "Who's the dark man behind you?" Our mom turns around, and there's nothing behind you. Hope y'all enjoyed these. Make sure and stay tuned. Also, anybody who has your own ghost stories or horror tales, please feel free to email them to me. I'll be putting my email or our email in the section below, and I'm going to be doing giveaways, horror collectibles, and etc. giveaways real soon. So thank you all for supporting. Please, if you like this video, like it. Please subscribe, and there'll be a lot more coming soon. Thank you. Sleep tight.